Hello there and welcome back. Today we talk about the CXM1978. It's a reverb pedal that comes from a collaboration between Chase Bliss and Meris. Its first unique characteristic is the flying faders. It's very fun to see, but also it's very interesting because this big fader, and whenever you change it, it gives you a very easy visual representation of what's happening on the pedal. So it's not just a fun gimmick, but it actually is pretty useful during performances. But let's talk about how these guys work and sound. So the different approach that they decided to have with this reverb that is modeled after some very famous 1978 reverb is that instead of having a reverb time with just one knob in which you decide the decay time, you actually EQ how the reverb tank wall would absorb the frequencies. So with this idea, you basically interact with the bass, mids and treble, and you can obtain different reverb time and actually different reverb time for each different frequency. It's a concept that initially it's a little hard to wrap around it, but then it starts making sense and it's pretty interesting. Also because it's a different way to work with a reverb pedal, and I always love when there's some new interesting take on such a abused pedal. I am playing a very slowed down Candia ambient track that I recorded on an OP1. Later we'll try with something else, and also I'll give you some tricks on how you can control with Midi, and you will see all of this nice fader dance around, and that's pretty fun and pretty beautiful and haunting. Anyway, let's see how it sounds. So this is basically the clean sound. Maybe I'll do like this, it's probably easier to understand what's happening. First, the sliding control. We have bass, mid, treble, and cross. This is your EQ section. It's where basically you will build the reverb time. Then mix is your dry and wet slider. And pre-delay, basically it decides the time in which the reverb will start. Then you have what they call the arcade button. Jump is just for scrolling through the preset. It has a 3 bank of 10 preset. Type is the 3 kind of reverb you can have: room, plate, and hole. Diffusion is basically work in a way that smear the sound from a low, mid, and high, so you can have a sort of a different attack on how the sound are perceived. The tank mode is your modulation source. And clock is work with pre-delay, and it has 3 different settings. Hi-fi would be like the most pristine kind of reverb, a standard that basically is modeled, I guess, after the original reverb. And LoFi is let's say a bonus version that Chase Bliss with their more interesting and creative kind of sound put it in. So with LoFi you can get in more of the experimental territories. You can, of course, preset is to scroll on all of preset, and bypass also have the function of save. You just press and hold and it will save. Very easy. There's no menu diving, so I kind of love it a lot because it's what you see is what you get. And having these in front of you with these big knobs, it's really what you see is what you get. So it's a super easy pedal to tweak in. once you wrap around how it works. So basically, the bass and mids work in combo with cross. Cross split the frequency that are sent to the mids or to the bass. So just to let you understand, when the cross is at top, all the frequencies are sent to the bass. The reverb timing decided by the bass frequency. So as you see, mid really doesn't work. On the opposite, if it's on the low, now it's when you hear more. Of course, now we are in room. Let's put a play area. Same. The bass won't work when cross is at the lowest, but if we push it out, here it works. So as you can imagine, the trick is like find the balance that you want, and in this way you will start having your reverb time. Treble works they say that all of these actually interact each other, so it's always interesting to see how the different combination and the different position will affect your sound. Pre-delay, of course, add your pre-delay. I really love to play it with Midi and automate this, because as you can hear, you can basically add a source of modulation that add that kind of warbly tone that works very well with this kind of composition. Let's hear. So this is the plate. So basically the color of the ring goes with the color of the algorithm you're in. Of course, whole is the one that has the longest reverb time. And room, sometimes it's just I use it to just give a touch of reality to the sound. So it put it like in a room, in a space. So it's interesting to just give a very small thing. But let's hear with the. See how it just had a touch, but it's a nice one. Love it. Then diffusion, we said, is like smear the sound in 3 different levels. Now I won't go through all of the single setting because it would take too much time, and there's already a lot of reviews and there's a lot of things said about it. So it's more about how I use it and why I like it, and how we can use it to get interesting sound. Let's go back with it. In certain position and with certain algorithm activated and modality activated, basically you will add artifacts or hidden features that are reported on the manual. Now I won't remember all of them, of course, but LoFi, it can, when you are in LoFi and with the pre-delay, you can start having some sort of delay. As you can hear. also with some sort of artifact. And this is when this pedal can become interestingly experimental. It's very interesting with, I don't know what kind of sound I have here. This is without. Interesting, very interesting. Let's go with something more clean. Let's say in this way, when it's down, we don't have a lot of frequency going to the bass. So let's say you want to work with a drum and you don't want the kick to be too much reverberated. That's how you do it. Here, if it's at the maximum, let's try it wrong. Nope. The pre-delay has a very short range in hi-fi. I think, let me see in the manual. I don't remember the time, but yeah, it's all in the manual. We don't really care. Okay. All right, it's 42 milliseconds with the hi-fi. It's gonna be 168 max in standard, and in LoFi it goes in the range of 1.7 seconds. So basically it's a delay here. Okay, so as you can see, it's a very interesting sounding pedal, and it's very, very simple to work on. It just doesn't have any basically hidden feature. It's just play and figure what you like and just keep playing. Let's see with some other song. A little too distorted. I might go a little too hot in it, so there's a little distortion. Let's play a little more with it. Of course, when you disengage, the trail keep going. There's some other setting that you can do. It's actually work with the Meris preset pedal, and with that you can have a few interesting modes, and basically you can set up the position of the sliders, so having for each preset another 3 different presets. So basically it makes this more versatile if you want to dive into different presets. What I like is it's very easy to find some interesting sounding reverb. You can save your preset just holding down like this. But since it's very simple to work with your hand, I like just to interact with it whenever I need it. So usually it comes after my Octatrack, and I have it right now on the Q track of the Octatrack, so I can send every instrument and every track to it and have it washed inside it. So this is the one I saved before, and this is how it changed. So there's maybe 2 things that I am not super excited about. One, of course, is the price. For full disclosure, I had this to a very beautiful discount from Chase Bliss, but definitely is a pedal that it's not cheap. They told me that the building quality is amazing. It looked like a tank, and I'm sure I can drop him from my roof and it will be fine. So I'm sure that to build these, to have this sliding thing, costs a lot. So it's not for everyone. You need to think about it, but it definitely, you pay for a lot good quality. The other thing is like whenever you jump to different preset or you change the algorithm, you have basically an interruption of the reverb. It's like go up and down nicely. It's not just abrupt, but it makes the changing of the preset not as smooth. So here, that's the only thing that sometimes you need to take in account. And yeah, that's the only things that I don't like about it. But the other thing is like, I feel that it's a very interesting and different approach. Initially, and honestly, I didn't really get how this command works. So I was like, oh, how this is really sound. I need my reverb time. I need my decay time. I'm so used to it. But now I'm thinking more which frequency I want to push and which one I want to keep more dry. So think about having like a sort of low pass and high pass filter, but with more control over it, spreads on 3 bands, and with the cross you can decide more precisely how to split the reverb time between bass and mids. Okay, so this is it about with the sound. I want to show you a very interesting feature that not only this pedal have, because a lot of reverb pedal have the chance to be MIDI controlled, but definitely with this one you will see this slider dancing, and it's pretty beautiful. So let me hook up some other stuff and let's see what happens. Okay, so now I hooked up my Octatrack and Nord Drum to the CXM. Basically, I'm sending Midi out from the Octatrack into the Midi in, and the Midi through goes to the Nord Drum. So I'm sequencing the Nord Drum and I'm sequencing the CXM. What I'm doing, basically, I have the one track dedicated to it and I step sequence it. So you will see all of these sliders moving, and I decided when I want like a more reverb time on the bass, maybe change a pre-delay, change the mix, so it became basically playing like an instrument. Let's hear it. So, as you can see, this now it become part of the rhythm. If I turn on the sequencing here, you can have your nice reverb as much as you like. But as you can hear, it's way less dynamic than it was before. So let's turn it on again. Then you can see, this is the algorithm that I prefer for this kind of sequence, but let's hear what happens if you change it. So, as you can hear, I decide to add some hit and then push the bass when some kick come in. Then another trick that I like to use, another trick that I like to use now, this is set up on 16 step, but if I do 15 step, this is gonna change because it's of course it's a different length, and if you see my previous video, I really like to have tracks that go in a different step length because it creates an evolving sequence and something unexpected. So right now I'm having the CXM creating a rhythm with a reverb. Again, let's turn it off and hear how it changed the pulsating rhythm of it. This is without. So I like sometimes when I do sound design and stuff like this, not to be overly using the effect. Right now, it's not that you can perceive a very big delay, right? Reverb, sorry. But it's just some touches of the right moment that make the sound more interesting. So I want to show you how I did this. So first thing first, there's no direct way to set up the MIDI channel for this guy. And at the beginning I was a little confused. So what you do when you turn on the pedal, you hold down both the switch and then you send a MIDI control change signal. Whatever it is, doesn't matter, but the CXM will basically listen to the channel from that signal come from. So I initially send MIDI notes and that won't work. You need to send a program change. It's written on the manual. I didn't read truthfully, and I didn't get that. So I was at the beginning, I thought something wasn't working. So be sure to follow the instruction and read the manual, right? I always skip that part. Anyway, then for our Octatrack friends, you go on the FX page on a MIDI channel, you set up your CC value here. So this goes from 19 to 14, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Then there's other, I didn't MIDI map yet. So you set up here, and then you activate the CC pushing funk and pressing down the encoder. And then basically you will have the chance to move and basically have all of your automation going there. Now, the only things is like when you set up the sequence, somehow it moves, but not really in sync. And that's the problem of an Octatrack that, is, the Octatrack. It's always a headache. So I don't know why it doesn't work properly, but whatever. We love and embrace this guy. And then what I did is just P-locked. As you see, all of this pulsating thing is a P-locked stuff. So if I go here, I can decide to push the, this would be my pre-delay or the mix high. And then when I start, it will follow. One trick that I will probably use in the future is just mapping the LFO to the CC, so I can use the slider to create interesting sound. Yeah, basically that's a very fun way to use this as an organic part of your setup. Rather than setting up a delay and just forget about it, it can be something else. Of course, you can do this with this technique with many other pedals, as long as they have MIDI CC implementation. The things that I really like about this one is that you are seeing actually the CC going on. So you have a visual cue of what is happening. And I feel that it's pretty great. Also, one fun part is just like it creates a very interesting mechanical sound that I will definitely sample and use rhythmically. So, to get to the conclusion of this video, I do really like the CXM. I grow more fond of it the more I'm using it. It's a pedal that requires a little more time to understand and appreciate, I feel. But once you get how it works and how it sounds, it's pretty great. Again, I love the what you see is what you get feature of it. I love that it's hands-on. As I said before, it's not a pedal for everyone. It's very expensive, but that's what you can expect having this kind of build quality and this super fun flying fader. So yeah, I definitely recommend it if you can afford it. I have several other reverb that I really love. You can see in a previous video I have the Room, that it's one of my always hooked on reverb. I have the Avantage Space, that's another reverb that is always hooked on my send and return channel. I have another Chase Bliss, that is the dark word that I use for interesting creative sound. And this one adds something that I didn't have before. First, it's the visual possibility of interact with the pedal and have fun with it and use it, like not just forget it. Like the Eventide, for example, it's always set up on my favorite preset, and I never ever touch it. I never even learn how all of the part of that pedal works, because it sounds just amazing. Plug in that preset and that's it. So I set it and forget it. This one to me requires hands-on and adjusting the reverb every time. So I like that idea. I like the fact that I will not use a preset. In fact, I didn't even save a lot of presets. It's just like every time I turn on, I will play with it and get with something very fast that work with the composition I'm doing. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to support this old guy. I hope to see you next week for the next one. And yes, thank you. Have a great, great day. See you soon. Ciao.